podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the SRC podcast. Joining me, Big M, as always, Double R, Mr. Rob Rees, and Bookie John Harris. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
All good, gents. All good.
Yeah, all good, lad. How are we doing?
All good, all good. Come on in, let's kick this right off. We're coming into a bit of a break. We do have a handful of games to
Sleep when I said that then. Sorry, I do apologise. But yeah, all good. Sorry, there we go. That's better.
John's on one already. This is going to be an awful week. I can already feel it. So, being as though John likes chirping up, let's talk about you, John. Pontypool, Aberavon. Proper tale of two halves. 19-7 down at half time. I know Rob especially mentioned it last week. You know, that the bench that they had. It worked. It really did.
Made a difference.
Was an away game, but did you get down there or did you watch it on the box?
Yeah, I watched it on the old S4C click. I think it might have even been the YouTube channel, but yeah, I did manage to watch it on there. Great. Absolutely great result. I was well chuffed with that. Like you said, it was a proper game of two halves. Pontypool were in control of that whole first half. They played the conditions perfect. Their kick-in game was brilliant. Tactically, they were brilliant. God, their back three looked dangerous every time we kicked it to them. And they just looked sharp. I think the scrums were quite even, but I'd say Pontypool probably had a slight nudge on that first half. They used the wind, the conditions, but it just and Aberavon emptied the bench end more or less at half time. I think it was 5 of the boys come out from half time, and it's turned the game completely. Boys like Shea Smallman come on and made a huge impact. Keelan Cullen, of course, as well, coming on at 10. The boys in the front row as well, although I still think the boys, the youngsters in the first half did amazing. Boys, I didn't realise how young Dylan James still was. I thought he was 22. He's flipping 19 years old. So, as me and Rob was saying a couple weeks ago, like this is where these young props are going to learn, not some nice air-conditioned barn somewhere. Go up on a pool on a rainy Thursday night, and that's where you're gonna learn the most. So he's just going to keep getting better, but they just made such a difference, and still danger in that Pontypool bag. I thought McDonough was outstanding. Every time he got the ball, he looked like he was going to do something. And we kept, so I was a bit annoyed we kept kicking it to him so much. But Keelan Cullen just come on and took this game by the scruff of the neck, and Ashton Evans stepping up again as well. I can't believe it turned around so much. And the moment of the game, of course, was again, it was McDonough who made what looked like a very dangerous break and a little chip over, which could have gone anywhere. I mean, Keelan Cullen's picked it up outside his own 22 in the 5-metre channel and sent it all the way down to the Pontypool 5 metres. And the penalty to win the game then has come from, they've got the line out, they've got the drive, and then they've got the penalty from that. And fair play to him, they go in for the posts because he missed a couple of kicks previous. So I think it takes a lot of balls to step up then and think, no, give me that. I'm gonna kick this. Forget the last two. This is going over. And he stepped up and he kicked it with the last kick of the game and nailed it. And deserving, even though he was only on for a half, deserving man of the match, I think. There's a few shout-outs there, and I think this is definitely one for Pontypool. I'm going to think this is one that got away from being 19-0 up and 19-7 half time. Is this the third defeat now for Pontypool at home this season? When they don't lose up there, do they? So something needs to change up there, because the players and supporters won't be happy with that. That's not what they come to expect up there. But what a game to watch, though, and it was another great advert for this league, and brilliant game.
100%. These TV games, they're not letting us down. We have managed to finally get word from someone at Aberavon. We've got
Sorry. It's Panto season.
It's Panto season. All right. Defense coach Nick White. We talked first. So really pleased with the performance of Pontypool. Did a good outfit, and they have made Pooler Park a bit of a fortress. Over the last season or so. We knew that having a strong bench was key going up there, obviously. And delighted with the character and resilience the group showed, especially in that second half. Still very aware that there's a lot to improve on, and we've been working hard on those things this week. So, hit the nail really on the head there. But in terms of Pontypool, now, barring Bridgend smashing a couple of weeks ago now, you've got to be quite disappointed with how these last two results have gone. Really blown away by Cardiff, and only really put 40 minutes of good solid rugby in against Aberavon, and on your own park after going all last season and beating at home, to come now and what they've lost to RGC at home, obviously Aberavon. Was it a third one, did you say? I'm not sure. Is this
no on the road?
It's not great for them to have lost two games, at home in a season, never mind within the first 7 rounds. So, Rob, what's going on with this Pontypool side? Because, we were thinking of them as really pushing on into that top 4 category. I mean, is it just recruitment, or is there more to it?
It probably is an element of recruitment to it, because I think sometimes they rely too heavily on individuals performing. Morgan Lloyd at 9 is one of those. I mean, they are light at 9 as well. That's one of the areas they haven't recruited in. Not that he had a bad game, but 10 is an area they haven't recruited in really either. I mean, obviously they got Harry Ford allocated, but he's in and out. And Kieran Meek went off the other week, and he was the only 10 in their squad. So there's a few areas that they're looking at. They're not playing with any sort of momentum or cohesion at the moment, but I still think it's that lack of a stamp on a game. I called it last week. It's that sort of the bench impact from Aberavon was going to hurt Pontypool. That's what they were targeting, and it very much does seem as if Pontypool just couldn't handle that. Yes, there's a lot of youngsters and a lot of sort of first timers in that sort of Pooler Park front row area, but to have that drop off of control of a game, it's amazing how you lose a platform and everyone around you, and this is what I say about the cohesions, everyone around you just starts doing their own thing or trying to individualize it. You move away from your defensive structure. I thought Aberavon were going to be disappointed not to go in 19-10 because they had their opportunity with a penalty perhaps, and they turned over the line out right before half time. You're thinking, is that going to be Pooler home and dry? But yeah, it's really disappointing that they're relying on individual brilliance too often at the moment, and it's coming back to hurt them. It all comes down to the squad management and doing the prep in advance, because you don't want to be doing the hard work during the season, and ultimately you can't chase things in the season because you don't get the performances, you don't get the results, and it pushes you further down. And as you say, all of a sudden teams don't see Pooler Park as this this fear fortress. There's 2 teams have gone there, 2 teams that were sort of bottom half of the table last year as well. That's no disrespect to either Aberavon or RGC, it's different season, but last season they were bottom half of the table. So someone like that going to Pooler Park, where they've beaten Newport,
the ones we target,
they've beaten the biggest names, the best names there, and then they lose that sort of fear factor. So now everybody's turning up and having a go. And again, this is a mental side of it coming through, where you might have that 19-point lead or that that 12-point lead at the break, but ultimately that's not enough because they're weak up front because you lose that platform, and then it obliterates it. It is
Yeah,
surprising.
obviously Carmarthen Quins, another bottom half team from last season, went there, and by rights they were really annoyed not to have come away with a win in that game themselves. So, 3 lower half teams, 2 of them have been successful. One of them were annoyed not to be successful. It's not great for Pooler there. I mean, luckily for them, they do. I say luckily for everyone, really. That little break comes at times when some need it and some don't. But they've got a chance to regroup. Now, obviously, they've brought in McDonough. So they do have a lot of individuals that can pull it out, like you've said. So maybe this is the time that they really focus on that team element of the game. And it's something that you'd expect with Tom Hancock being in charge. Obviously coming from Llandovery, where it is very much team first. So it'll be interesting to see how they carry on for the rest of the season. On to Saturday's games, and we'll start with Bridgend at home to Newport. And I made myself look a little bit silly by here because Bridgend had a little bit of a quick start, going 2 tries to the good up, 10-0. I made a little comment on the old social media. Was Newport's win against Ebu a fluke? And I've been had good and proper, but yeah, Ty Morris has decided to do a nice little laughing face after the final result. So
You're premature with that one.
You've got to have a laugh, take things in jest. It's all for fun anyway.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like to laugh on social media in the SRC these days?
On the internet in general, everyone's got a sense of humor, and everyone knows everything's a joke.
Exactly. So onto the game itself, Bridgend have been starting slow, and it seems that they were like, okay, we're going to actually get up and go for it by here. And in all fairness, they did. They got 10-0 left, 2 tries to nothing. And they're 26-10 down by half time. I mean, it just seemed like a complete implosion on their half. They just won. They just about won the second, but, all of our hard work to get a good start of the game was just thrown away. And I obviously we don't get to see the full game. We only get a limited amount of highlights. But Bridgend, how many wins have they got now? Is it just the one they've got, or is it the 2?
I thought they had 3. Or have I?
2 wins they've got, and again they were what were they, 6th last season? Were they that top?
No, Aberavon was 6th. They were 7th.
7th. So there we go.
7th because they played Swansea in the.
Yes, they did, and they should have lost that game. I can remember that one now. So yeah, 6. 1 in 3, and okay, it's kind of the same rate, but we've come to accept more from Bridgend, even if they're not winning, and it just doesn't seem to be that. I mean, I don't know how you boys are feeling, Rob.
Yeah, I know this one's at the Brewery Field, but this game followed a very similar pattern to the one at Spitty Park last season, where Bridgend, I think, were 10-0 up in that game. They scored the 2 quick tries, and then basically a little late flurry, caught them up a little bit, but the game was gone. But this game, as you say, it was like an implosion, but it all swung on one really good team try for Newport, and that's playing, was it 60, probably 70 metres out, playing it off their own scrum, right across the field, and then up the length of the field, and it's like, it is like just that little bit of a click in attack was like, oh, this is how you have to do it, and then all of a sudden they just ramped it up, and we've said it all along, from an SRC perspective, it's good to see Newport playing some good rugby, because they've played some good rugby this season, but have never won whilst playing good rugby. They played good defensive rugby to beat Aberavon, but it wasn't a ball flowing through the hands sort of game, as you'd expect with a 12-7 scoreline. So, they've opened up a bit by here, and it's, this is the sort of Newport we'd expect. I think Bridgend's movement early and late in the game sort of sums up where Newport are as well, around, they're still a bit fresh. They're not quite a settled team, so there are patches where you can get into them, and they're not able to just hold out that complete pressure. But hey, if it makes Martin look silly on Twitter, then I'm all for these sort of results, right?
Who can't be for making me look silly? I mean, yeah, Newport they've had a bit of turnover in their squad, and they seem to be integrating more, academy, more allocation players. Noah Morgan, who got on the score sheet in this game, he's one of them. There's been a lot more than last season. We can say that, well, with 100% certainty. But John, anything to add for this one, my friend?
Just echoing what Rob said, really. I think Bridgend did what they needed to do, which is come out of the blocks and not have a slow start. But yeah, just completely dropped off then. And I think, yeah, really, it seems like Newport just seemed to find their mojo again. It's like literally it just woke them up. We're like, oh yeah, this is what we can do actually, because their backline last year was absolutely outstanding, and some of the tries they were scoring and the way they were scoring, and you could see that from from some of the tries they scored in the intent. They weren't afraid to run from deep and attack, and when they did, it was working. It's like they found another gear that Bridgend couldn't live with. And there's a contender for try of the season in there straight away, where I think it was the last one before half time. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but it was because Bridgend had a 5 meter line out on the Newport line. Newport steal it, and straight away, without hesitation, have just shipped it out wide. A lovely, long, dangerous looping pass to the winger, and they've gone the full length of the pitch. Will say Bridgend, that was a very generous last pass, mind, that's been given if you look where he passed it and where he caught it. But momentum, we'll say, shall we? Aggressively flat when he's passed it on the 22 and caught it 15 meters out. So, but
back out to the hands.
Yeah. No, I can't take away from the try itself, though. It was amazing to watch. But I still think there's positives for Bridgend. But Bennell had another cracker. He looks like a proper player. He does. Things happen when he's got that ball, and the passes he flicks out off both hands that just either cut people out or just put people in space. He's brilliant, because they still scored some great tries. At least they managed to get a bonus point out of it, but they'll be, the way they've fallen off after going 10-0 up, they're going to be disappointed, I think.
Yeah. So 40-29 win for Newport at the Brewery Field. On to our next game, and very similar into the Thursday night game, where this one was quite close and a bit of back and forth, which was nice to see in the first half at least. So Llandovery travelling to Cardiff, and this was the big one this week for all of us. And John, hats off. You went with Cardiff, and that secured your perfect week in the predictor scales. Rob, you're the only one not to have a
And I'm
perfect 5-0.
still only a couple of percent behind you, Matt.
Well, we're only 7 rounds in, my friend. Give it time. Just like Novocaine. So yeah, great. If you haven't seen the highlights, you've got to get in there and watch them. It was a really enjoyable watching. Cardiff take the lead. Llandovery come fighting back. I don't know how Adam Warren got that ball down, but he somehow did. Quick tap. Sorry, not quick tap. Short. What was it? 5-meter tap from Lee Rees. Here you go, my friend. Just go that way. Go that way. And he does a job. Fair play. Cardiff then, we're not happy with this. They'll come back, they'll try their own, drove it. It's just some really lovely stuff to watch. Finished 22-14 to Cardiff at the end of the first. Into the second, it was, Cardiff kind of edged away a bit. But, you can't hold that Drovers team down. They came fighting back. There was a couple of lovely tries in here. First one, I believe, was from Stefan Emmanuel. I could be wrong with you. Where Matty Young just makes this lovely, change of direction, off his left, off his right, beats two players, and he's just gone through. So, he's been a revelation for the Rag since he's come back this season. And then a very similar-esque score from Kian Abraham. Really messy play. He picks up the ball. He just runs straight through it. He's got, 2 men in front of him. He's got his support to his side. Just changes his angle, takes the one out, and then he just beats that final man and goes over for a try. Well done, Kian. And then just as the game is closing out, getting those final stages, again, another wonderful try from the Drovers. T and Sparrow ending up over in our far corner, bringing it back to a single score. How's the game going to go? And Cardiff get over for that final try to win it. So, amazing game. Amazing highlights. Definitely go watch them. Rob, you do post them on your socials. Obviously, we'll repost everything, even though he has access to the SRC social medias. He just, likes to plump himself up first, as you do. But I'll let you talk about the intricacies of the game, because I've had quite fun talking about some tries for there.
Yeah, for me, this is the game of the week. Like, it's not only on paper with the quality of it, but it's the story, as you say, of, one team goes out, the other one claws it back. There's a bit of back and forth, both scoring some lovely tries. But there is that sort of element here of Cardiff just trying to hit their stride. A couple of 6-pointers coming into this one. All of a sudden, you're thinking, what Cardiff are we going to see? Because they always plump their squad up when a big opposition comes to town. Llandovery have done the same. About 1 million Scarlets in their starting 15. I think they started with 16 players on the pitch, and all of them were Scarlets, I'll be honest. But it's that sort of big game factor. But ultimately, I just feel at the moment that when Cardiff have got their squad as they have now, with their pack, the head boys, Alan Rees, Aled Ward is back in there and sort of playing around. Joe Cowell starting to come into the sort of the 23 as well, is that just a bit more settled and dominant up front, which they weren't right at the start of the season. And that's that points gap. All of a sudden, it's bugger all between these two sides in the table. Was it 27 for Llandovery, 25 for Cardiff? Cardiff now within 6 points of the top of the table, which is Aberavon, which is the game in hand, which will now be played on the 24th of January.
Plug.
Plug. But yeah, I got to be honest, I'm really impressed with the way Cardiff are starting to finish at the moment. They are looking like Cardiff of old, where it doesn't really matter where they are on the pitch. You always feel they got a chance at scoring, and Cap is going back to that, like we already said at Pontypool, where you lose that fear factor. You're almost introducing it again. I mean, there's not very often a side will have a 60-point wallop in, and then within 3 games they're back. Was it 17 points in 3 games since? You know what I mean? It's not a big place you want to be going at the moment. Their attacking style suits it, but Dan Fisher's got him working down there. Like I said, I think Cardiff are going to be interesting one to watch with the pack as they are, especially given that they can call on a lot of players.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a weird one for the Drovers, because if you go back to last season, and it's the same with Newport, and Ebbw Vale, of course, they don't rely on a lot of allocated players. You might
Newport.
have, well, now, but 1 or 2 maybe, but it tends to weaken, not weaken as such, but it dysregulates then the teams. And something we did kind of see in this game is something that we've always talked about, is what happens to the Drovers when Johan Hughes isn't there, because he was not named in the 23. And whether or not that showed, it's really unclear. But it's definitely an interesting one going forward. I can't imagine the Drovers having that same number of allocations week in, week out. I mean, if I'm trying to pull up their squad now, what was it? I think Tommy Lewis was the only fully fledged Scarlet. Obviously, you've got Max Page in there, but he's
Yeah, Jack Davis will count him. He's played senior rugby.
He's still academy age, boys.
No.
Okay, admittedly, Max is on a senior contract now, so okay, I'll let you count. I'll let you count him. But everyone else is, they're still those academy ranks.
Do you know what? There's also an element here of recruitment at the start of the season. Johan Hughes has been the only out-and-out 10 because they've been playing Jack Maynard when he was still around at fullback as well. But they had the cover. They had the cover then. All of a sudden, you lose Jack Maynard from that picture. And I know you've got your academy allocation to come in, but it's not just as easy as that. And Pontypool found that out.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of good youngsters coming in. The academy youngsters coming into this Llandovery pack, which is good to see and securing it. But it is interesting, as you say, around Johan Hughes not being in there, but also how this season Levis hasn't started every game. They're trying to, they've switched the back lineup. When the RGC double was all depth on the bench, and then youngsters starting, and then the flip reverse up at Church Bank. So it's like Euros Evans. He's playing around where he can. I mean, I don't think he would deliberately go to Cardiff without Johan Hughes as a tactical change, but yeah, it just goes to show one player at this stage and at this level can make a big difference in these games.
Yeah, it can, especially when you're considering the player that's coming from, and I don't mean any disrespect to Steph Jack Jones here, but he's playing for Aberystwyth when he's not with Llandovery. I mean, they're not even playing Premiership rugby. I believe they're in Championship West. So, you're talking that's quite a significant drop down. So, to be playing there for, say, 2-3 weeks and then to come straight back up and, okay, you've got a 20-minute run out 1 week and now you're starting, that's not enough time to really acclimatize yourself into the situation. So, maybe another 10, probably more of a utility, 10, 12, 15, like your Jack Maynard or whatever would be an idea. But we'll see how that goes. John, we haven't managed to come to you, but anything to add for this?
It's really much more to add to that. I think you boys have pretty much covered everything, but haven't you? I thought,
I know, we're keeping you quiet tonight.
This was definitely the game of the round, I think. It's a tie with the Thursday night game, obviously, but this is another great advert for the league. It was Cardiff are really hitting some form now. I think they're getting back to where they should have been at the start of the season. That they've had that slow start now, but they're probably the form team in the league now. So, and I thought their back three looked so dangerous in this game. They really made the difference, I think. Just slicing through, it's just so good to watch. I mean, it was just a shame this couldn't have been a live game as well, because I would have loved to have seen this. But this is where I think the top three are starting to, well, probably, you still think Newport might stick their noses in, but that bad start might really hold them back this season. But that top three are starting to kind of break away now. But then again, along with Carmarthen, because they're still in there, they still 3 wins, won the last 3, same as Cardiff. So, but it looks like that 3 are going to start breaking away now, doesn't it? And when these teams kind of playing against each other, it's just box office. And so I don't think Llandovery would be too worried. They still, when they come back, when Cardiff go there, it could easily be a complete reverse fixture. That's great thing about these games at the moment. They can go either way. We're just lucky we got this amazing thing. I would urge anyone to go and watch these highlights back, because like the boy said, it is some fantastic rugby and tries in there. On the SOC Chwarae on YouTube channel, that's where you'll find them.
Ooh. So a nice 37-28 win for Cardiff at Cap. Going a little bit further west, we shall come to Carmarthen Quins now, as they hosted RGC in what turned out to be tornado-style weather, or monsoon-style, we should call it, because the conditions literally changed at the drop of a hat, and it looked lovely one moment. The next, it was thumping down with rain. A proper struggle this one was to get any sort of momentum in your game. But, credit to Quins and anyone who takes on RGC. You've got to stop them scoring. And Quins did that. They managed to keep them to one try. So, RGC's defense was then, the key thing to work on. So a comfortable-ish win because the scoring was so low in the end of the game. So 19-10 it finished. 3 tries to 1 in Carmarthen's favour. Really gutted not to get that fourth, which would have brought the 2 extra bonus points. Absolutely gutted. Managed to see the return of Yori Badam, and the Tembe tornado brought the weather with him, of course. Beautiful try for himself. Takes a quick tap, spins out to the first tackle, steps the next man and over in the corner to get that final try for Quins and really secure the win. But it's a different sort of game we've seen from RGC. Obviously, it's normally been just fast, free flowing. You score 6, we'll try and score 7, sort of thing. Completely opposite for them. What do you think, John? We'll come to you first this time.
Yeah, I was expecting this to be a bit more, a bit of a more high scoring game than it was. Fair play to Carmarthen, because that's not one thing RGC will do is score tries. They will, leak out as well, as we know. But to keep RGC to 10, that's really good. And in fairness to RGC, with the points they've been conceding recently, to keep Carmarthen to 19 away from RGC being away from home is pretty good by the points they have been conceding. But weather probably dictated a bit of that as well. Well, Carmarthen, fair play to them. I think that's 3 wins on the bounce for Carmarthen now. They've been 4th or 3rd in the league, are they?
4th, come on.
Yeah. So this is they've got to be the outstanding team of the season, I think, so far, considering from how poor last year was by comparison. But the defence is just excellent this season. I think it's only Aberavon who've conceded less points than Carmarthen this year. So clearly that's something they've worked on and it's working for them. So if they can start scoring a little bit more as well, because like you said, one more try now and you get an extra 2 points. And those bonus points, I think, are going to be so important at the end of the season, especially which looks like they're going to be threatening that top 5, 6. So great win for Carmarthen, but there's a lot RGC can take from this as well, I think.
Yeah, I mean, those bonus points were really important even now. I mean, if they managed to get that 6-pointer, they would have been in line to obviously, once they beat Aberavon this weekend, they'd be top of the table until obviously Ebu play RGC themselves in a couple week time. But I'm silently happy. I'm not silent at all. I'm ecstatic. I'm loving it. Rob, did you have anything to say, or should we just jump straight to your favorite time of the week?
No, I think this is a really controlled performance from Quins, I'll be honest. Not just in the way that they display, their usual prowess in the maul going forward, but they just seem to control the defensive speed, the ruck speed, because RGC had a lot of possession early on. It wasn't like Quinn just dominated, just couldn't quite rack up enough of a big lead. But as you say, I think Quins will be a bit disappointed that given the conditions is at the park and that the fact they'd already had the 3, that they couldn't kick on and get that 1, because we've mentioned how important top 4 is and top 6. They're sitting in 4th at the moment. Now, if they hold top 4, that's a home semi-final, should they keep winning through. That's
Quarterfinal,
yeah. Fucking... It's one of those ones. You win all the way through, and you get your home quarterfinal, you can go from there. If you don't want to be traveling on the road, because you just want to save as much as you can, especially because this is a long playoffs season as well, right? There's 3 games for a team that will finish in the top 6. Therefore, you got to try and conserve your energy. But my worry here is that Quins are dropping these points, and it is a drop point effectively, because the others are all taking. You take this week, right? I mean, Land every, didn't really they obviously lost points on Quins. Cardiff taking 5, Abervale take 6, Newport finish up with a nice 5-pointer as well. So they start climbing up the table. And you lose ground on that 4 that you would expect. Even though you've won, you've lost ground on all but Llandovery. And they were always going to be dropping points in that game, because even if they both drew with 4 tries each, they're going to drop a point.
Yeah.
So that's the disappointment for me. But I think it's one of those ones, you just breed yourself confidence, you breed yourself form, you just keep on ticking over, you keep winning, and ultimately that's what you need to do, because 4 points is bigger than a lot of things. It takes you a lot longer to build a gap, because if teams are picking up a bonus point or picking up 2 bonus points, all of a sudden you're not gaining a huge deal on them. But yeah, it's good to see, as we said the other week about Quins and Swansea and whether they could kick on. Swansea obviously tailed away a little bit in the resulting weeks, but Quins, again, back-to-back wins since we said about it. So fair play to Steph and Lyndon and the team down in Carmarthen. They've got a decent team going.
And they will keep that going. And whilst the other big boys are taking points off each other, Quins will just win all the way and finish top, because that's just what we do. Okay. And then what? Wait for Aberavon to bottle another final. Yeah, is that what you're going to say?
Oh, you've just upset Aberavon.
Oh, there we go. All right, then. So on to Aberavon, being as though they are the topic we are currently covering. They won 28-0 on the scoreboard. Beating Swansea at home. I mean, don't get me wrong, a couple of those tries probably shouldn't have counted. Our first maul, it stopped a couple of times. And then if that second one, if that's not truck and trailer, I don't know what is. And Swansea, I think the ref must have been, grabbing some players' hands and stuff, because honestly, they had some wonderful play in this game. Lewis Edwards, that big fullback, John, makes a lovely break, and that offload, that just shoots out of his hand. Jesus, he's like a juggernaut. Fair play. And obviously, Ellis Lewis weren't able to take advantage of it. And then, another similar chance. But Aberavon, 4 maul tries. Is a maul all you can do now? Because you started off playing some fun, exciting stuff. You just reverted to type here. But then we got Swansea playing the fun stuff.
Hey, if the fun stuff gets you 0 points in a game, then I don't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? No, I think this was a bit of a weird game. It started off extremely strong. As you say, four maul tries. Yaya Morris with all 4 of them. The first man into double-figure tries this season. And it appears that the game is basically took the foot off the pedal, but is a bit like that Quins game we said about the weather changing. At half time, it absolutely hammered down. And all of a sudden, it's like the ball and the game just changed completely. It became a very sloppy second half from both sides. Aberavon spent the majority of the time camped between Swansea's 10-metre line and the 22. There was a lot of knock-ons, a lot of turnovers by Swansea, but they couldn't get anything going in attack. And it got a bit raggedy towards the end, I'll be honest. And the ref blows up and we go, that's a bit thing. But the only big thing from Jason Strange's perspective that he'll be happy with is the note. Yes, you've gone out, you've got your bonus point ticked off in the first half. Yeah, you haven't scored or really added to your advantage in that second half, but you've taken the 6-pointer. But equally, as John said, is the best defence in the league at the moment, and you've just whitewashed the team. Now, that's a big positive to take, especially given the lackluster performance the week before against Newport, but also heading into the next game in a couple of weeks against RGC, who do like to score a lot of points at home. There's a lot of positives you can take out of this, and ultimately, it's one of those old adages, right? If you're winning, you win ugly, it doesn't matter. You've taken another 6 points. It puts them back on top of the table, because Llandovery lasted about as quick as the Challenger Shield did up with Church Bank on top of the table. And, his business is normal.
Oh, digs everywhere tonight.
Yay! We're trying to upset everybody. Let's see how many clubs I can upset this week.
Well, you can upset as many as you want, so long as you're doing it as a person, not as a representative of the podcast. Okay,
I speak on
we
behalf
have
of
to
the
keep.
podcast.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. I speak as a committee decision.
no. There's no horse next to your name.
No,
You
no.
get nothing, nothing.
Yeah.
You're joking, but
Ah,
all right. John, anything to add before we move into the few games we do get to see over the coming? Well, some people get to see over the next few weeks.
Well, it's nice to see such a variety of tries being scored in this game. But no, in fairness to Everfield, if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, innit? And when you've got this kind of weather coming in on a Saturday, if that's what's working for you and you're 28-0 up at half time, you're not going to go far from that, really, are you? So, you said, Swansea did try and play some stuff in the second half, and they close a couple of times to pulling off some beautiful tries. I thought you've mentioned the big fallback. It's Lewis, isn't it?
Yeah, Lewis Edwards.
Lewis Edwards. There's so many variations of players that have a Lewis or an Evans or a Lloyd, or I'm just trying to remember them all.
Well, there's
But,
there's two Lewis hookers in bloody Kamala, so that's fun for them.
he was good again. I thought Ian Cornelius looked really good as well.
Dangerous.
Really, and he almost set up a try, but again, as he passed it, the ball's gone loose. In fairness, he was being tackled at the same time, but again, it was the slippery ball. So, but also, all right, Aberavon haven't scored in that second half, but they didn't need to, because Swansea didn't score either. So if Swansea score a try, it was not to say that Aberavon don't just go and score another one to keep that gap. But if you're 28-0 up and Swansea are not scoring, you don't really need to do a lot. Then you just manage that. Why risk it, anything? Another outstanding display from Aberavon, who is looking ominous. 6 points, again, a 0. So they'll be happy with that. I don't think they're not going to beat themselves up too much for not scoring in that second half. I don't think, because they didn't need to.
Exactly. So that 28-0 win for Aberavon over Swansea brings us to an end of this past week's action. And as always, if you made it this far, please like, share, subscribe, do everything I ask you to do. Comment, hype. If I'm still waiting to hear back what this means, blah blah blah. Blah. Okay, so we won't be recording next week. So we will cover the 2 Saturday games we've got to come and a fortnight time game. And then we'll come back and cover those 3 as the season kicks back off. So Aberavon get to play losers to Carmarthen Quins in the first game on Saturday. So I will finish off what Nick White of Aberavon was saying earlier. Quins pose a very different threat to Pula, and they look like an improved team. They get a strong allocation of academy players, much like Llandovery. It's great to see, Scarlets utilising the SRC the way it's designed to. Play Quins in pre-season, and they showed then that they had been evolving their attack. Sure, with a handful of SRC games under their belts, they're going to be a tougher challenge again. But we're at home and we're making the tag a tough place for teams to come. Suppose the beauty of Super Rugby Cymru is that there are no easy games and fixtures are proving that anyone can beat anyone. He's been listening to the pod, boys. He's taken our title. Let's just hope the weather holds out and we can get a good game of rugby. Oh, I'm liking that. Clearly a fan of the podcast. I mean, how can you not be? Anyway,
a fan of the podcast, but I don't think he's a fan of the Ospreys. A bit of a slight dig in there. Allocations.
Bit of a slight dig. I mean, we shall not talk. I mean, to be fair, did the Ospreys have a hand in getting Keelan Cullen down here? I mean, I know he was training with them over the summer, so probably. I don't know.
I'm not going to make a comment. All I'll do is upset the Aberavon media team. I'm not making a comment.
What? Upset? You've never upset anybody in your life. It's John. John upsets everybody at Aberavon. Why do you think he has no photos with anyone down there except his own brother that's forced to be there with him? I'm sure his brother actually takes him out to charity work. Okay, so yeah, Aberavon against Quins at Tag. Reference that pre-season game. That finished 13-12 in Aberavon's favour.
Yeah,
And
what they call a hiding.
both sides have gone really, really well. Especially by their own standards. Quinn's winning 5 of 7, Aberavon 4 of 7. They're 4th and 5th respectively. This is lining up to be a really good game, and it's gutting we don't get to see this on TV when there's literally nothing else to watch on Saturday. Wales playing on the Sunday. You'd have thought Espedraec would have snapped this up. It really is just there for the taking. I mean, obviously, I'm backing Quins. I mean, what is it? 3-game winning streak should really be on a bigger win streak than that. But for some reason, Pontypool somehow got over the line. We really should be on a 6-game win streak. Only that first game loss. But there we are. Life isn't as simple as that. Haven't heard a great deal from Steph this week, mostly because of my laziness. But we are expecting a very similar squad to last time out. How are you feeling about this one then, John?
Looking forward to it. Feeling a bit nervous about it as well, man, because this is a different Quins to what we would have played last season. But form is in our favour, I would say. Like just as in at the Tag when we play Quins. Just looking out, last time Carmarthen won at the Tag was December 2019, so we're going 6 years since Quins have won at the Tag. Aberavon did do the double over them last year and won pre-season, but pre-seasons don't mean too much, does it? But as I was saying earlier, Quins with Cardiff are probably the form side in the league at the moment. This is a tough one. Well, there's nothing with the bookies. It's both 10-11. No handicap betting or handicap betting whatsoever.
That's a cop out if I ever saw one.
10-11 outright. So, which surprises me actually, because I know Quins have been, but I still would have thought with that home advantage, it might have been even 1 or 2 points head start for Quins for this one. So I've got to go Aberavon on this one. We're going to take a lot of confidence from an away win at Pooler. A good win against RGC at home as well. And like Nick said, we got to make that place a fortress now, which we should have beaten Bridgend at home as well, really. So we should be 5 out of 7, but we're not. But that's where they've got to kick on now and make sure that those mistakes don't happen again. It's just cutting the mistakes out. When they just cut the mistakes out, don't give yourselves too much to do as well. Like I think we were quite lucky with the Pontypool game. I was a bit doom and gloom at half time, and when we were 19-0 down. But they have managed to come back. But we can't do that every week, and especially not with Quins. Their defense is too good this season. They don't score as much as they need to, mind Quins, so that might help us. We will score tries, but this is going to be so close, I think. But I'm going to go with Aberavon win, and I think it's going to be a decent day weather-wise on Saturday. So I think that's going to help us. So it's going to be a 1-score game, but I think we're going to get a bonus point out of it. I think there's going to be tries in this game. But I think Quins will get a losing bonus point as well.
6-pointer for Quins all day long. How can you not call it? I mean,
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, the voice of reason then. I don't think I've ever said that before when discussing good old double R. So I've gone Quins, John's gone Aberavon. We all knew this was happening. You're our tiebreaker. What's it going to be, my friend? Where's this going?
Yeah, so I like John, and in an attempt to reconcile with the social media team at Aberavon.
Ooh, no, no.
I genuinely think that Aberavon are going to take this. It's, as John said, there's good weather ahead. It's at Tag, which it does make a difference. That is one of the few grounds that people don't like to go to. I actually think it is a bit of a fortress. But I just feel that this sort of game, I think, as John said, Quins don't score a lot of points, and whilst the defence is, the second best in the league. It's Aberavon at the moment. I feel have a bit of momentum with playing. I feel that Quinn's not grinding out a result, but they're easing out those results. They're slowly crowbarring their way over the line. Where Aberavon are just, they're running back and forth as many times as they can and just smashing their way over several times, and in the process concede a few points whilst they're at it. So I think there is going to be tries in this one, especially if the surface is going to be looking good with a bit of sunshine on Saturday. So yeah, I'm thinking Aberavon with this one, and hopefully we get a team sheet that's not a video.
Sensible man.
You've got to. I'll be honest. Those video team sheets, they're nice. They are nice, but we do need that still. We need a still
Wonderfully produced.
just to make it easier for us.
I'm going to have everyone coming up to me again on Saturday, say, got out Rob in the back, didn't he? I mean, they do it when you don't give them a reason.
Knobs, man. Okay, the other game on Saturday, we got RGC making another long trip down, but this time to play Bridgend. I mean, it's hard to pick RGC as a winner just because of how the season's gone. Pontypool aside early on, they haven't shown a great deal that, makes them out to be winners, especially away from home. The game against Quins kept Quins to 3 scores. I mean, it was a low-scoring game. I don't know how much you can read into that because of the weather issue, and obviously we're going to see more weather issues as the forthcoming months start hitting us. But yeah, got to stick with Bridgend. I mean, John, what are the bookies saying about this one?
I'll have a look now.
Oh my God, you haven't even got him ready. Rob, take it away.
No, I got it.
False alarm.
The bottom lined up and ready to go.
Well, the bookie think this is going to be a Bridgend win. They've got Bridgend 4-7, RGC 5-4, so it's a close one. They're giving RGC +4 on their handicap at 10-11. This is quite an odd one. I don't know this because just thinking off the top of my head, using your head, you think, yeah, right, this is going to be a Bridgend win at home. But their form has properly dipped the last few games, hasn't it? And RGC have gone down to Pontypool this year and won away, but no, they're on a 5-game losing streak. But then again, they did win at Bridgend last season, so they have gone down there and won before. But also Bridgend then went up to RGC the week later and won up there, so that cancels that out. I think the way RGC play will actually suit Bridgend, so yeah. I'm gonna go for Bridgend on this one, and I think this is going to be a high-scoring game actually with both of them. This could be like when Aberavon played RGC a few weeks ago, and it was just 40 or 30 odd. I could see it being one of those, especially if it did turn out to be a nice day Saturday. But I think, and I think that's going to suit Bridgend slightly more than it will suit RGC. So that's a Bridgend win for me, and it's got to be with a bonus point as well, then, because I think they're both going to score plenty of tries. But I could see RGC maybe. I think they'll get the 1 bonus point for 4 tries, but I think Bridgend maybe got this by 10 points.
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, probably not going to play much of a part in Bridgend or even Aberavon's game, but there have been games already called off this weekend because of flooding. So I don't know what the situations are, how close to these grounds are to some rivers, that there may be an issue or not, but we'll hope not. And the sun will come out and dry it all up from basically now. Rob, are you going to try and claw back some predictor points, or are you making it a clean sweep?
I don't need to claw back any points, Mats. I don't need brownie points off you. I don't need brownie points off Aberavon's social media team.
Can you stop, please? You're killing me here, mate. I'm not going to speak to you again. Obviously, it's just going to be literally 8 o'clock on a Wednesday, or this case, a Thursday, and that is it.
Yeah.
There'll be
And then,
nothing
and then
in
you're not going to
between.
speak to us.
No, Christ.
No, I do agree that the way the Bridgend wanna play this and the way RGC wants to play it does meld quite nicely, I'll be honest, for a high scoring game. Hopefully, I said the quality of the weather comes out a little bit by that point just to boost that. But I just feel at the minute RGC don't give me any confidence. They beat Pontypool, but that's the only win they've had this season. I know Bridgend have only had 2, but it's just that RGC are not convincing me, not showing me how they're going to win that next game. Like, one minute they score 35 points against Aberavon, and you think, all right, that's a tough place to go, scoring lots of points. The next minute they're scoring 10 points at Carmarthen Park, and you're going, well, that's 2 good teams they've played. One they've scored 35 points against and lost. The other they've scored 10 points against and lost. Both of them have been narrow defeats. I think, John's 10-point margin's probably not far off you. As I said, something around that sort of 38-28 mark wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, Bridgend will move up the table a little bit, I feel, with this one, because Christ, even a win moves him up to 6th.
Ooh, looking positive for Bridgend then. Would a win for RGC do much for them? I mean, they get a bonus point
It'd
win.
get him off the bottom if they won, because Bridgend are only 2 points ahead. I mean, they're
Yeah.
5 points behind Newport, so they could overtake Newport and Pontypool. They could,
Yeah.
in theory, tie. Well, they wouldn't. No, they'd stay behind Swansea because they'd
Yeah,
only
with number of wins.
so.
So yeah, if they somehow get a 6-pointer, they can move up to 7th. That's not bad. That's not bad. Obviously, we can Aberavon go. Aberavon can, hey, they can match Drovers. That's not bad. We didn't really talk this. And obviously, Quins will go second. Well, hey, that's fun. That's really fun. Okay, so last game to talk about, we are
Not well.
won't
Did you pick
just
them,
won't
Matt?
just won't. Okay, so we'll fast forward a little bit to November the 15th, which is 2 Saturdays from now, when Ebbw Vale travel up to RGC. RGC really, really don't want to break. It seems, 1 week off is more than enough for them. But I think we're going through the same old conversations here, but this time it's Ebbw Vale coming up. And unless you're me in a Gwent derby, you'd be crazy to go against Ebbw Vale at this point in time. So yeah, it's just Ebbw and it's RGC. Opposite ends of the tables. How can you can't see past Ebbw, surely?
You say that, but RGC won this game last year.
They did, but different circumstances.
The
Different
money I make in Dragon Bet with loads of people all of a sudden rushing to spend a plus 12 handicap, whatever it is.
12 would be a lot more than I reckon.
Yeah, should be.
There isn't any betting for that game, actually, because they only do the weekend that's happening.
See, look, getting into people's heads early. No, I think this is going to be, again, I think RGC will score a little bit, but I think, was it 41-40 or 40-39 last year?
39 rings a bell.
And it was like literally a last minute try, Sam Stoddard, and then the conversion, by Billy McBride off the touchline that won it. But I just get that feeling Ebbw just have that little bit more depth this year, a little bit more control. They don't seem to be 1 minute dominating an opponent, and then the next minute they're a bit ragged or like desperate to try things. Like I said, I think conceding nothing against Swansea will put them in good stead. And let's be honest, they only conceded 12 points in the last 2 games. Whether or not you got 1 win and 1 loss, 12 points is bugger all. Especially when you look at, they play an improved Swansea team and a good Newport team at Newport. So there'll be a lot of confidence amongst the sides here that something can come out of this. And they'll be keen just to make sure that, a result of last year that just swayed how and where they can finish in a league doesn't quite happen the same again. And again, it's one of those ones that even though RGC are putting in a lot of points, a lot of tries at home, they got to do that now against the best defence in the league. and a team are going to be physical against them, are going to be steady. So, yeah, it's just Abervale for me.
John, round us off, my friend.
Yes, hard to disagree with any of that. As I said, there's no betting for this one because Dragon Bet only tend to do the weekend that's happening. But yeah, no, this is from last season, I'd say this is an improved Abervale, and an RGC that's gone backwards a little bit. So it's hard to look past Abervale in it. That defence is so good. That maul is so dangerous. I could just see them completely squeezing the life out of them. Yeah, it's hard not to. Yes, it's Abervale, and you can't back against them at the moment. So, and got the way they're going, they're going everywhere and getting 6 pointers at the moment, apart from Newport. So they're tempted to go 6 points as well, but
yeah,
they've got to stop RGC from they got to stop them from scoring or like they like to do at home, especially on that pitch up there. But with their defence, they're more than capable of doing it and frustrating them. And I think RGC, if we can frustrate them for long enough, they do tend to run out of ideas, I think, and get frustrated. And I think that's what Abervale could do. Abervale could just choke the life and frustrate a team into not playing well. So yeah, I'm going 6 points for Abervale on this one.
And that is it. And we are now done for a fortnight. Like I said, there will be no pod.
So I can't review an Aberavon win now next week?
No, you will review an Aberavon loss in a fortnight's time. We'll do these 3 games in a fortnight's time, mate. You'll want to put it off a week, or people have forgotten how bad you were humiliated.
There can't be too much positive social media coming out of Aberavon next week, can there?
Oh, for Christ's sake, mate! Oh my God, I'm gonna get okay. So, like I said, no pod next week, which it'll be roughly November 12th, 13th. Would you'd expect it to come out? So, no pod then. We'll be back the following week. Review these 3 games and the next round of Super Rugby Company. So if you made it this far, thank you for listening. You are the lifeblood of our podcast. Please don't leave, and please don't tell the clubs Rob's been saying shit again. Thank you all for listening. John, thanks for joining me. Rob, dickhead.
Pleasure as always.
Until next time, boys. Ta-ra.
Bye, everyone. Super.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.